So you want to do it the laptop?
No, you can. I'm live now. All right, y'all. What's good, everybody on YouTube? This is your boy Akil McLeod back with another live stream video. And every Sunday, I like to do these live shows where I just get to answer some of you guys' questions. And this week, I'm not going to just share some of the stuff that I picked up over this past weekend from garage sales and thrift stores. I'm going to talk about some of the mistakes that I made when I first started out on Poshmark, because I do think that could be some real helpful and valuable information for you guys. So I'm just going to close this in the back, close that in the back here. As always, got my beautiful fiance in the chat being a moderator and always helping me out. So if you guys have any questions, to go ahead and drop that in the comment section, and she'll just direct me as easily as possible. So first off, I'm just going to start off with some of I made a short list, so I'll go through them and just kind of tell you why I believe they were actually like a mistake. And then at the end of the day, they're not like big, huge, terrible mistakes that damage the business. But I do think some of you guys can probably learn from some of the mistakes that I've done in the past, and just avoid making some of those same mistakes. So first off was cross listing from eBay to Poshmark. Now, the reason why I say that was one of the mistakes that I made is that I still cross list. There are still items that I have in my eBay store that's also listed on my Poshmark Closet. But one of the biggest issues with cross listing, at least the way that I was doing it originally, I would basically just screenshot the photos that I had from eBay and then put them onto Poshmark using my desktop. And I did that method because it was really quick. It was really easy to do that. And of course, I'm always big on trying to save time. So just doing that method saved me a lot of time. But I realized that the more that I did it, I realized the quality of the photos were really, really blurry. And some of those items that I cross-listed from eBay to Poshmark, it kind of slowed down the sales, because of course some people would see some photos that were high quality and then others that were kind of blurry and just not as crisp and high quality as my others. So I do think that did slow down some of my sales. So if you guys are doing that same method, drop a comment, let me know. Right now, I don't cross list like that. The way how I cross list my listings now from eBay to Poshmark, I actually do it from Poshmark to eBay. That way, the photos are still stored in my phone. And when it's time to list those items onto eBay, it's easier now because I already have the photos, and all I need to do is just sometimes a slight crop in order to basically make the eBay listing look just as high quality as my Poshmark listings. So if you guys have any similar method, drop a comment, let me know, and we could talk about that. I'm switching things up right now. I used to have 2 computer screens, and now I'm using my laptop. So the game is fucked up. I had to tell the viewers, because sometimes with business, you know what I mean, you gotta keep pushing, and that's what I'm doing. But I miss my other computer screen, so I'm just gonna keep it pushing. Any good questions in the chat? No? All right. So moving right along. One of the other mistakes that I made was the fact that I was wasting money on tissue paper, stickers, and thank you notes. Now, the thing is, with all of those type of stuff, Poshmark they kind of push us to wrap up stuff pretty nice and neat and pretty and stuff like that. And not to say it doesn't help. It doesn't help with feedback. That definitely does go a long way. And some people actually prefer to use, tissue paper and just make their packages look really nice and pretty. But for me, after I started to garner a lot of positive feedback and a lot of love notes on Poshmark, I kind of just stopped using tissue paper and all those type of stuff to kind of make the package look pretty. At the end of the day, what's most important, at least for me, is to make sure that I'm sending the items out in a I'm not going to say as fast as possible, because sometimes, life happens. But for me, I like to ship items the same day. And I just like to make sure that the item that I'm shipping, it's exactly as described. So if you guys were to go to my Poshmark Closet and you look at some of my love notes, that's usually the feedback that I get. Either very fast shipping, item as described. And for me, that's what's most important. I've definitely gotten some, not negative feedback, but I may have gotten like 4 stars or even 3 stars. And the person said, I needed to improve my packaging. And I thought that was just those people that prefer stickers and unicorns and butterflies on their packages. But that's just not me. That's not my style. So I'm not going to tell you guys don't go ahead and use tissue paper to make your stuff prettier. But for those of you that are new to Poshmark or even considering it, don't think that that's a necessity, because Poshmark would kind of push you to do that. But when I first started selling, when I first downloaded the app, actually, I remember going to Staples just to get some tissue paper. And I think I spent like $5 on 20 sheets. And that was a waste of money because it really didn't make a difference whether or not I added tissue paper or a thank you note for that matter. But thank you notes are a nice touch. I just don't use them anymore, but thank you notes are definitely a nice touch. If there's anything good in the chat, just tap me and just let me know. Next up, got something good. What should we be picking up right now to prepare for the fourth quarter? Fourth quarter right now, you definitely should be trying to stock up on winter stuff. So that's boots, that's jackets, all those type of stuff that people are usually shopping for during fourth quarter. If you can get your hands on them, on those stuff now, I suggest you go ahead and do that. Only because for me, I rather spend maybe $7 to $8 on something that might sell for say 50 or $60 in a few months. Now, some people, you might not be able to spend that money right now, but if you can spend the money and you have the space, I suggest just investing right now instead of waiting. Akil, regarding same day shipping, I had an instance when someone canceled the same day. Is it true buyers have 3 hours to cancel? I'm not sure how much time they have to cancel, but I usually will still ship the item out the same day. I don't usually like waste any time or let any time necessarily pass by. If a buyer does cancel your order and you already shipped it out, they will definitely still release your payment, and most of the time they will just let the buyer keep the item as well. So for me, as long as the payment is going to be released, and they know that they will know based on the tracking information, they will know if you already shipped the item out, and then they will release the funds, because that happened to me maybe 2 or 3 different times, but I did end up still getting the money because they sorted out. I shipped it out before the person even canceled. Notice something. I'm in northern Minnesota. Sending lots of sales out to California. Is the thrifting prices crazy out there? Notice some other YouTubers posting crazy thrift prices. Any thoughts? Yeah, some of these thrift stores are crazy. In my area, the prices they they fluctuate. Sometimes depending on the workers, the prices might go up, and then sometimes if the worker they're having a good day, the prices might be really really low. It really just depends. But the thrift stores that I usually go to, those prices are pretty fair. That's why I keep going to those. But there are some in my area that's super expensive, and that's why you hardly ever see them in any of my trip to the thrift videos, because sometimes they might charge like $40 for sneakers just because they're pretty clean. They might not even be a good name, but because they're pretty practically brand new, they price it up really high. So in terms of like California thrift stores as a whole, I know Southern California, like LA, those thrift stores are really good, but some of them are also very expensive because the managers, they know what's selling, so they know what to price up. What's good, Akil? I scored a pair of 100% wool Canali dress pants for $1. Not familiar with dress clothing. Dress clothing. How do I go about identifying and pricing them? Just check the comps. Just type in Canali dress pants on eBay, and then go to the filters, and then check the sold listings, and you can get that information from there. For the most part, I usually sell Canali dress pants depending on the season, sometimes anywhere between 30 and $50. It really just depends on the condition. Larger sizes usually do sell higher for me, but especially if they're like a thick wool pair of pants, I usually would list those during the fourth quarter because a lot of people are looking for those type of pants, and I would usually just price them on the higher end. But Canali dress pants is definitely a good find, so those should definitely sell pretty well for you. Next up in my list of mistakes, number 4 is not accepting good offers and being too greedy. Now, I talked about this in some of my other videos where I shared some of my what so videos on the weekend, and there's very specific pieces that keep crossing my mind, like those pair of red Burberry boots that I picked up a few months ago. And when I first got those boots, I had them listed for I think $110 on Poshmark, and I got a strong offer for like $90. And I remember declining that offer because I was just so stuck on trying to get at least $100. And those boots ended up not selling for another 3 or 4 months later on. So I just say that to say it's very similar to eBay. When you get a good offer and it's something that you know you're going to make some decent profit on, just let it go. Don't be that person that holds on to items. And because at the end of the day, the goal is to make money, and the goal is to just recoup on your investment. So you don't want to hold on to items for too long. And when you get a good offer, just go ahead and accept that. And that's something that I try to do more often. Not to say I accept lowball offers or I even tolerate lowball offers. At this point, I just decline them. But I definitely do think, depending on how high priced your item is, if you get an offer that's say $15 or $10 less than your initial asking price, don't be afraid to accept those offers, because those are usually still strong offers. Got another one. Would you do autoville detailing? That's what's up. My man is in the Patreon group. Thanks for the support. Would you sell wholesale to your Patreon subscribers? Selling wholesale, that's a good question. I mean, I do come across some good stuff in my thrift stores. I usually just buy them all. Like anything that I see that's a good quality piece or a good name, I usually just grab it up. But if you guys are interested in that, those of you that's in the Patreon group, if you're interested in that, drop just let me know. Send me a message. I could try to do some sourcing for you guys and do some, like, I guess, like some mystery boxes or stuff like that. And trust me, you guys know the way how my thrift stores are, and you know how I source. So if you was to do a mystery box, you already know you're going to at least double your money messing with me. So if you're interested in that, let me know, because I think that's a good idea, because our thrift stores are dope and some people just don't have access to that. So of course, you just pay me what I paid and just a little more for my time, and you can do that. Do you have more items on eBay or on Posh? I actually have more items listed right now on eBay, only because I have more electronics and hard goods and stuff like that on eBay. But on Poshmark, I'm literally I'm steadily ramping up my Poshmark closet. Right now, I think I have maybe 180 something active listings on Poshmark. So I'm really trying to boost that up to maybe maintaining closer to 300 active listings by the end of the year. But I'm not gonna try to overwork myself or do too much. I do think the amount that I'm dealing with right now is pretty good just for me, since it's just just a one-man show for the most part in terms of sourcing and shipping. I think like maybe 300 on Poshmark would be my limit. I don't want to deal with too many items, because for the most part for me, a lot of the items that I source, they sell pretty quickly. So when I say maintain 300, I really am constantly trying to maintain that large amount of inventory. Which platform do you prefer, eBay or Poshmark? Slowly I'm starting to love Poshmark because it's so easy, and it's one of those things that you can literally just list from your phone, and within 10 minutes, and not even 10 minutes, within 2 minutes, you can have an item listed and good to go. Whereas with eBay, for me, since I'm seasoned with eBay, it doesn't take me that long, but Poshmark is still super, super easy, super simple. So right now I'm kind of 50-50, but I started with eBay, so I'm still leaning towards eBay. Do you post the same item on both sites? No, I used to. I used to do both on both websites. Whatever it was, if it was a shirt, I would have them listed on both ends. But now I primarily source specifically for Poshmark, and there's a lot of items that I can't list on Poshmark, like electronics. So of course, those stuff go to eBay. But for the most part, I source specifically for Poshmark because I know what the typical Poshmark buyer is looking for. I know the stuff that's trending, and I know that most Poshmark buyers aren't trying to spend too much money either. So some of my higher priced items usually go to eBay, and my lower end stuff go to Poshmark, and it just sells a lot faster that way. Had another question in the chat. Much love. Do you price your items the same on eBay and Posh? That's actually going to be one of my next things I was going to talk about. But sometimes I might price, because the thing is I always charge shipping for eBay. So eBay prices might sometimes be a little higher. For Poshmark, I might have them a little lower. Mainly because I know shipping costs are the buyer sometimes has to pay for shipping, and they have to pay for what is it? They also have to pay taxes as well. So sometimes I try to be a little cognizant of that, knowing that the buyer has to pay an additional $6.50. So with eBay, if I'm charging shipping, I just try to deduct that price. That way the buyer can somewhat get a deal and know that if they send me an offer, I'm still making a decent amount of profit. That's the main thing. You just got to make sure you're charging shipping on eBay to just maximize your profits. Are you going to start selling in the home market on Poshmark? The home market, I'm checking it out. I just haven't been sourcing specifically, but I definitely will be tapping into that market soon. I just haven't added anything to my closet yet. My closet right now is just mainly men's clothing and a very, very small amount of women's clothing, but I probably will start sourcing more, probably go to places like Home Goods and IKEA and stuff like that, just to try to get some stuff. But as of right now, I don't have anything. Yeah, we'll have questions if you want to. Yeah, you could keep going with the questions. We got 60 people in the chat, 62. That's a lot of people. Hit the like button, y'all. There's a lot of people in the chat. I appreciate y'all being here. How long on average do you let your typical $20 to $30 clothing items sit on eBay before you start lowering the price? Now, for me, it depends on the brand and it depends on the style. Now, if it's something that I know will sell maybe a few months from now because it's out of season, I would just hold on to it and wait for that particular season. But if it's something that should be selling now and it's not, I probably give it maybe 60 days. And if it doesn't sell within 60 days, I usually take it to places like Crossroads, Buffalo Exchange, Plato's. And if it has a stain or anything that I didn't realize from the beginning, sometimes I might just donate it back to Goodwill, or I might try to just donate it back to Goodwill, because you never want to hold on to too much items that's not selling. The main thing is to, like I said, recoup on your investment and not waste any money, not waste any time. But we do have a lot of questions in the chat, so I can keep taking some more questions. As long as y'all got questions, I got answers. Love the videos. Have things slowed down this week? New seller and sold 40 items this month until this week. And this week I have sold 1 item. Lowered prices, shared more, nothing appears to work. Yeah, so far for me on Poshmark, it's been really slow. I think I sold maybe 2 items on Poshmark this weekend, so it's been really slow for me. But I mean, eBay is picking up. So at the end of the day, that's the beauty of selling on 2 platforms. If one platform is slow, you can always rely on the other one, and vice versa. Last week, Poshmark was booming for me, and I made a ton of sales on there, and I made maybe 1 or 2 on eBay. So it just, vice versa, and you never really can tell. Do you have to pay for the shipping with Poshmark? No, the buyer pays for shipping on Poshmark. The buyer pays, I think it's $6.79, as long as it's under 5 pounds. And if it's more than 5 pounds, then you have to add, I think, $1.80 or something like that. Have you ever done reselling from sneaker drops, limited Jordan, Supreme, etc.? I did a couple things. I remember I did in one of the raffles. I remember I won a pair of Adidas Wave Runners, and these is when the Wave Runners were new. And I remember waking up at like 7 o'clock in the morning, and I spent like $320 something on these sneakers, and they ended up doing another restock on those shoes. For those of you that remember, for those of you that sell Adidas and any hype shoes, you guys know about restocks. And once the restock happened, the prices plummeted, and I didn't even make any real money. I think I made like 20 or 25 bucks at the end of the day. So with that experience, it kind of deterred me. And then I started trying to resell Supreme items. And once Supreme items lose their hype after that first 2 weeks, it's over. Like you'll be lucky to break even. And Supreme items are super expensive. So it's even hard to, it's hard to get. And 2, if you don't sell it really quickly, you can end up losing out on some money. So I just kind of let that go. And now that's why I'm starting to sell a ton of like Nike and Adidas. It's just the lower end stuff that everybody wants, the stuff that anybody can find across the country. That's the type of stuff that I'm usually sourcing now. So moving right along, I actually did skip one. One thing that one of the other mistakes that I was going to tell you guys is not removing listings fast enough from eBay. And them being sold on Poshmark. Now, that's one of the dangers of cross listing. Now, basically, for those of you that's not familiar with cross listing, it's just basically adding an item, just adding the same item on eBay and on Poshmark. And this is what I used to do all the time for every single item. And there was a couple instances, this only happened twice, where an item sold on eBay first, and I forgot to take it off of Poshmark, and then somebody else bought it on Poshmark. So this happened twice. The first time it happened, I just canceled the Poshmark order because on eBay, there were no repercussions if I was to cancel an order. No, there are repercussions if you cancel an order on eBay. For Poshmark, there is no repercussions. So I canceled the Poshmark order the first time, and I dodged a bullet. Then the second time it happened, I actually got super lucky because it was a pair of shoes. It was a pair of Cole Haans, and the buyer bought them on Poshmark first, and I forgot to take it off of eBay this time. And then when the second buyer came along on eBay, they asked me to cancel the order for whatever reason. They just wanted to cancel it. So I got really lucky that second time. So when it comes to cross listing, you just got to really be on top of your inventory. And for me, that's why I don't want to maintain too large of an inventory. I think it's best for me to maintain a smaller number, anywhere between like 300, maybe 350 tops. And that way I can, monitor both platforms efficiently. Once I start really starting to grow to the point where I can't manage both platforms, then I'll start getting in trouble. So keep that in mind. You should create a mentoring program. Easy way to make some money and help people out. Yeah, the mentoring program is basically the Patreon. I mean, I think it's one of those things where if somebody was to join the Patreon group today, they'll have access to all the videos that I already added. And if they wasn't, satisfied with the videos, or maybe a situation changes with a financial situation changes, you could always cancel. So that's why I do like the Patreon page, because it's basically like the mentoring program. And you also just have that access to me because you could ask me any questions that you have, and I can just get back to you as soon as possible. Whereas with YouTube, I'm not always checking the comments and replying that fast. But with Patreon, I try to get back to all the Patreon members super quick. So I might do a separate mentoring group, but I think Patreon is where I'm at for now. Why don't you sell on Mercari? Mercari's cool. For me, I just don't want to get my hands in too many different platforms. I really like eBay, and I really like Poshmark, so that's where I'm kind of just sticking to. But Mercari is cool. I heard some of their fees are not that high, and their shipping is pretty simple as well. But like I said, for me, I just like eBay and Poshmark, so I'm just gonna stick with those two, at least for now. I might venture out onto Grail or something else, but for right now, I'm just gonna keep it moving with eBay and Poshmark. Next up, hit the like button, y'all. It's a lot of people in the chat. Hit the like button. Next up is not doing the research not doing the research. Now, when it comes to doing the research, I always tell people, whenever it comes to whatever item you're sourcing, just do your research. And basically that means to go into the filters, check the sold listings, and see how much items are actually selling for, see how fast they're selling for. Sometimes some items have a faster sell-through rate than others. And one of the mistakes I made was actually just not doing the research for Poshmark effectively, because some items on Poshmark sell for a lot more money than they sell for on eBay, and some items just sell a lot faster as well. And after doing the research, after some of my stuff sold, I realized that I actually could have gotten maybe an extra $20 or even $30 more than I was originally asking, because I was doing all my research only on eBay instead of doing my research on Poshmark. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. I think for sneakers, that's something you guys should definitely do the research on both ends, because there's some people that shop on Poshmark for sneakers and they're willing to spend a little more, especially since they have money in their Poshmark account. Whereas with eBay, unless you have a ton of money in your PayPal account, people are always going to try to negotiate. The knowledge you get from Patreon pays for itself. Super helpful tips. That's what's up. Thank you for the support. You was one of the first people that joined the Patreon, so I definitely appreciate it. If I don't have a label printer, what can I do meanwhile? If you don't have a label printer, you could use a regular inkjet printer. Inkjet printers are Linda Torres, $2. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. But if you don't have a label printer, You can easily just use a regular inkjet printer. That's what I started out with, and I was using like a Canon printer. And the only downside to that was that I was spending a lot of time with taping all four corners of the label, and it took a lot of time. And with ink is super expensive, especially for Canon printers. And since I was shipping out a lot of orders at that time, I would have to buy ink like once a month, and that's a ton of money. That's like sometimes as much as $40 for a black and a colored ink. So that was something that I didn't want to keep doing. So I just had to switch that up.
You had to buy both of them?
Huh?
Remember you had to buy both of them?
Yeah, that one. And the thing with some of those printers, sometimes you can't just use black ink. You have to have colored ink in the printer as well. So it's like the colored ink would last forever, and then you would have to buy black ink constantly. And then, once the black ink is finished, you might still need to pick up a colored anyway. Besides reselling, what do you like to do on your downtime? Hobbies. My hobby right now is trying to work out, stay fit. I'm about to be 30 this year, so I'm not trying to look 30. You know what I mean? The goal is to, every time I buy wine or I buy liquor or I go to the bar, I want people to ask me for my ID. So once people stop asking for my ID, it's a problem. And the next hobby is just spending time with my fiance, because y'all can tell I work hard. So if I don't, make the hobby for us to actually spend time, go travel and do stuff together, the relationship is not going to work. So my hobby is whatever she trying to do. You trying to go eat, let's go eat. You trying to go on a hike, we just did that earlier, let's hike.
That was your idea.
That was my idea, but shit, fellas, you got to make some ideas. You got to do some shit. You got to get up. You got to.
I'm not going to suggest a hike.
She ain't going to suggest a hike, but like I said, I'm trying to be active. So that was my idea, but that's my hobbies right now. Thanks for the golf tip. Sold Greg Norman shorts, Nike golf shorts, and I found an Under Armour Newitt tag. That's what's up. Greg Norman pieces usually don't sell for me. I don't use, like, I might see it, even if it's brand new with tags, I might still pass on it. But that and Ben Hogan, I usually don't sell those stuff, but I'm glad they sold for you. Drop a comment, let me know how much you sold for, because I might start picking it up, because I usually pass on that. How many items do you list per day? I try to list about 15 to 25 things a day, depending on how much inventory I have. I had a really big death pile, but I got through a lot of that now. But lately, I've been picking up like 20 pieces at a time when I go to these thrift stores. I've been getting super lucky. So I'm not trying to wait to list anything. I'm trying to just knock it out. So tonight, I'm probably going to list maybe 10 or 15. And then tomorrow, I'll probably try to knock out another 20 and just go from there. Because if you don't constantly list, especially for eBay, you're not going to make sales. And I'm not going to say that's the same for Poshmark. You just have to share more for Poshmark. But I just don't want to have death piles all over the house. So I just try to list at least 15 to 20 pieces a day. Next up, the other mistake that I did was sharing other people's closet more than sharing my own. Now, I talked about this in the past, but this one is super, super important. When it comes to sharing your closet, that's how you make sales. You have to constantly push your items on the top of the search. And sharing other people's items, it's cool. It brings you some karma, some good karma. And sometimes if that person that's sharing your stuff, if they have a ton of active followers, they might actually, that one share could actually help you make a sale. But honestly, if you're not sharing your items at least 3, maybe 4 times a day, you're going to see a decrease in sales. And anytime I don't share my closet at least 3 times a day, I realize that I'm not making as much sales. So sharing your closet is probably one of the most important things that you can do. Sharing your closet and actually having dope stuff in your closet is the 2 most important stuff. You need good inventory, and you got to put it out in front of people as much as possible. So that was one of the biggest mistakes, because I would just share other people's stuff because I was trying to be a Poshmark ambassador. And I saw that you needed 5,000 shares. So I would just keep sharing other people's stuff, and I wasn't even sharing my own. So that's something that I stopped doing. I don't even share other people's closet anymore, only because I'm too busy sharing my own. How many items did you have to list on Poshmark before you started getting daily sales? I don't know. When I first got on Poshmark, I started with about 50 listings, and it took me maybe 3 days to get my first sale. But every day I don't make a sale. There are some days where I don't sell anything on Poshmark, and all my sales might come from eBay and vice versa. So when it comes to reselling, there are some days where I make 0 sales, and then there's some days where I might make 20 sales in a day. It happens back and forth, but it's just part of business. How do you relist stale inventory on Poshmark? Hey, do you relist stale inventory? No, not really. Sometimes I might take better pictures if I realize my pictures was whack and I'm like, maybe it needs to be a little brighter, or maybe I didn't take flattering photos. I might re-photograph it. But if something's sitting for too long, clearly it's just not it. And I just try to either redonate it or try to take it to places like Buffalo Exchange or Plato's, because I'm always there. So for me, if I can have that store credit, that's just as valuable as having cash. How do you schedule your day? Listing in the morning or evening, sharing, thrifting? My day, it really depends. Some days I try to knock out like a bunch of YouTube and Patreon videos, and other days I basically go thrifting every day. So every day I dedicate at least 30 minutes to an hour to go thrifting. When I first wake up, I try to knock out my workouts, my home workout. Then I would do some listing. Then I would work on YouTube. Then I would usually go to the post office. And while I'm out to the post office, that's where I'm usually going to the gym, or I'm just outsourcing. And then I'll take my stuff to the post office. And then once I get home, I might do some listing again if I didn't knock out as much as I would have liked to. But once the time I get home, it's like 5, 6 o'clock. I try to shut it down because Dom gets home at 5, and I try to shut it down around that time. But my days are never the same. I never try to just get in like a consistent rhythm, because for me, it's having that freedom, having that freedom of being your own boss. Some days I might wake up at 9:30 and once I get out of bed, I'll knock out a ton of stuff, but I just try to, enjoy the fact that I could do what I want when I want. Do you use best offer on eBay? Hell yeah, I use best offer. Best offer. Some stuff I don't, because if I'm already priced better than all my competitors, I'm not going to accept any offers, because if you're accepting offers, chances are you're going to get some. If you're asking $10, somebody's going to send you off for $5. So I always try to be aware of that. If I price my item good, I don't accept offers, and I won't charge shipping. But items that are a little more expensive and it has a ton of competition, I would accept offers and still charge shipping. That's the best way to do it for eBay. Why do you think some brands sell for you or someone else, but not for everyone? Example, Under Armour. Let me read that question one more time. Why do you think some brands sell for you or someone else, but not for everyone? When it comes to item selling, I think the photographs have a lot to do with it. I think feedback has a lot to do with it, because if you don't have positive feedback, or if you don't have like a good track record, some people aren't going to trust you. If your photographs are not like really good quality, if it's not bright enough, if you're not taking enough pictures, sometimes if you don't have measurements, it's a bunch of different stuff that might make a buyer buy from you instead of buying from somebody else. But I just think after a while, once you get used to a system and you basically know how to take photographs well, and you have a good track record, your feedback is good. Not to say you can sell anything, but people would be, more trustworthy and willing to spend money with you than others. Whoa. Whoa there, you all right?
Okay.
What do you do when you realize you sold something for far less than you should, and far less than you should? Do you back out of the sale? No, I don't never back out of the sale. If I sell something for way less than I should have, I mean, at the end of the day, it's just a learning lesson. That'll never happen again. There's been times where I've listed something on eBay and it sold within 20 seconds. That let me know that my price was too low and somebody just snatched it up. And I just won't let that happen again. And sometimes there might be, I might accept the offer that's a little lower than I expected, but that's only because I haven't been bringing in enough sales and I really just want to build some momentum. So I might accept a lower offer just to get the ball rolling. But at the end of the day, it's really up to you whether or not you want to accept the offer, whether accept the offer or just decline it. And the last thing on my list was not adding measurements to my listings. Now, I used to add measurements to all of my eBay listings, but when I first got on Poshmark, I was checking other people's closet And I realized that a lot of people, they don't have measurements in their closet. So I was thinking to myself, maybe I don't need to do that. Maybe I can just get away with just taking photographs and taking a bunch of photographs, making sure they're nice and bright, and I'll be good to go. And then I eventually started getting questions and comments asking for certain measurements. So that just let me know that people are still, if they're really interested in buying, they do want to see measurements. And because with Poshmark, you can't return if the item doesn't fit. So that's something that I realized I had to do. And since then, sales have been pretty good because I've been adding measurements, taking nice photographs, and just doing everything that it takes to just get good customer service, just deliver good customer service, I should say. So any other questions? All right, so we all good. No more questions in the chat. That's my list. That's all my mistakes. So drop a comment. Let me know if you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if you guys did any of those mistakes yourself, because I know I'm not the only one. Because I mean, we all make mistakes. I mean, to be great, you gotta make mistakes every now and then. But definitely drop a comment. Let me know. Hit the like button before you guys get out of here, because it definitely helps the channel out and lets YouTube know that what I'm doing is actually worthwhile.
What's your eBay ID?
My eBay, DapperAdvisor. Yeah, my eBay store. I have my eBay. I think it's in my it's actually in my description, so you guys can check it out in there. I'm pretty sure it's in my YouTube description. But like I said, I'll see you guys in the next video. Tomorrow I'm gonna share some of the sales that I made over this weekend on eBay and Poshmark, so stay on the lookout for that. And also, if you guys are interested in my eBay 101 series, you can catch that in my Patreon, and you can catch that link in the description below as well. And you want to say anything to the people before we get out of here?
Have a good week, people. Good luck thrifting, and remember, where there's a goodwill, there's a way.
That's a fact. All right, y'all. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.